Now, one of the things that you shouldn't be doing, and it irks me to death when our team do this, and this is why we've created a policy and we've been really open about the way we promote within the business, because we want all of our staff to do this. But when we get a knock on the door, and don't be this person, but when we get a knock on the door and people say, cost of living's gone up. Well, I've done a Google of my job role and the marketplace is saying that I'm worth X. And I'm just like, I said, are you okay in the head? Like, the marketplace has nothing to do with you. You're not the marketplace. And I grant the cost of living's gone up, but do you know what that means? My costs have gone up as a business, which means that if you're doing exactly the same thing and now you're demanding more from me when I'm already paying more because my costs are going up as well, and you're doing the exact same job, then how am I meant to be able to give you a pay rise just because cost of living's gone up? Now, I appreciate the sentiment. I appreciate that it's tough for everyone. But if you're not actively growing and evolving within the business, don't knock on my door and say, cost of living's gone up, so I want a pay rise. I'd happily show you the exit.
Well, the answer sometimes is, I tell you what then, just go and work in the public sector, because that's how it works over in the public sector, but you're not going to get much progression. But no, I completely agree. It's about... It's all about value, and you got to put forward the value first. Sometimes you can go in and you've been there a while and you can try and say, oh, I want a pay rise, I've done this, that and the other, but it's not the right way of doing it. You want to go in knowing in full confidence that you deserve it, you're going to get it, and that if you don't, the company's going to miss you quite a lot, because you've put that much value in already and you've written it down, you've got it, and it's been prepared for the meeting.
100%. So another thing that, again, you all need to be focusing on, because we're talking about increasing your value. So how do we actually increase our value? Now, we have done an episode on that. We'll put a link to it in the description on how to increase your value, because it's super important that everybody that's watching this, if you want more money, you need to increase your value. It's as simple as that. But some of the little snippets from that video is, number one, increase your knowledge, increase the amount of learning that you're taking place. If you're in sales and you're only, as I said earlier, generating 50,000 in sales, the only way you're going to get more sales is by being better at sales. It's as simple as that. So you best go and buy every book on sales you can find, watch every video on sales that you can find, and I'll be a monkey's uncle if nobody can get better at sales after they've read all those books and watched all those videos and actually put them into practice. Because I know that I've read easily 10 to 15 books on sales alone, and I generate now over £2 million worth of sales myself every year in my business. And before I did that, when I first joined the business, I was generating maybe 200,000. So the evidence is there. From the learning and the application of actually taking what I've learned, putting it into practice from the books that I've read. The Challenger Sale is a really, really good book that's quite new and modern and teaches a good way of sales. Go and watch podcasts. This one, Patrick Bet-David, very, very good. Simon Squibb talks about sales, but just use your head. Just Google it, put it into YouTube, how to sell, and maybe even niche it down to how to sell what you're actively trying to sell. And if I can go from 200,000 to 2 million, both in a 12-month period, nothing's happened other than the fact that I'm just better at sales. And again, no manager or no boss or owner of a business in the world is, if their salesman or woman has gone from 200,000 in annual turnover to 2 million, are they going to go, well, sorry, I can't afford to give you any more money? Mental.
I mean, the biggest analogy that you can hone down on what you pretty much just said is, when you first learn to drive a car, everyone thinks they're the best driver on planet Earth, but you come to learn that as you're doing it day in, day out, driving to work, driving here, driving there, you get better and better the more that you do it. And it's the same with anything in life. The more that you practice at it and do it and are active in that thing that you're doing, you will get better at it.
The simple way to look at it is, if you had Elon Musk's brain, you'd be a billionaire. I would love his brain. I'd be a
Go on,
billionaire.
Elon.
So yeah, that Neuralink might be able to start.
Tell you what, we're not far off.
Absolutely, you might be able to start sharing some of that wisdom. But this is the thing: you're only as valuable as what you know and what you give. Elon Musk knows a great deal about so many important things, whether it's rockets, cars, clean energy, satellite Wi-Fi's, battery technology, because but most of all, he knows about running a business. He knows about generating value, and that is why he's a billionaire. You could strip everything off him. You could take his companies. You could take all his money. You could take all his assets. It's a bit far. But you could take his clothes, whatever. You could take everything off him, leave him penniless in the street. If you kept his brain and his knowledge, he'd be a billionaire again in a few years, guaranteed, because he's done it and he knows how to do it. And knowledge is the most important way. So make sure that you're all learning. Make sure you're studying. And again, you don't know what you don't know. So make sure that you're actively in your role. If you're in marketing, don't go and study how to import dishes from China. If you're in marketing, study psychology, study lead generation, find the books and podcasts centered around marketing and your niche. Make sure it's relevant, but make sure that you are actively learning. You should all be reading. And just because you've left school, that doesn't mean that learning should stop. You should all be looking at trying to complete a book a month at least. And the value that you get from that book will only be passed on to you for you to then use it in your job or in your business. And it will only, again, increase the value of that company or yourself.